The year was 2147, and humanity had finally achieved what they had dreamed of for centuries. They had colonized Mars, built stations around Jupiter, and sent probes to the edges of the solar system. Earth was peaceful. The old wars between nations had ended decades ago. A unified government now ruled the planet, and people believed they were entering a golden age of progress and discovery. Nobody expected what would come from the stars. They arrived without warning on a cold December morning. Their ships appeared in Earth's orbit like dark shadows against the sun. There were hundreds of them, massive vessels that blocked out the light and cast entire cities into darkness. At first, people stared up at the sky with wonder. Some thought it was a miracle. Others believed it was first contact with a peaceful civilization. The governments of Earth tried to send messages of greeting and peace. They did not respond with words. They responded with fire. The first attack came over the city of Mumbai. A beam of white energy cut through the atmosphere and struck the heart of the city. In seconds, 2 million people were gone. Buildings turned to ash. The ground melted into glass. The screams of millions were silenced in an instant. Before the world could even understand what had happened, similar beams struck Beijing, Lagos, and the death toll climbed with terrifying speed. But they were not satisfied with mere destruction. They wanted something more. They wanted to watch humanity suffer. They wanted entertainment. The aliens landed ground forces in major cities across the world. These soldiers were tall creatures with gray skin, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed with cruel intelligence. They carried weapons that could vaporize a human with a single shot. But they did not simply kill everyone they found. Instead, they began to capture humans by the thousands. Men, women, and children were dragged from their homes and loaded onto transport ships. The world watched in horror as news channels broadcast the scenes of capture. Families were torn apart. People ran through the streets trying to escape, only to be caught and taken away. The military forces of Earth tried to fight back, but their weapons seemed useless against the shields and armor. Tanks were destroyed in moments. Fighter jets fell from the sky like burning birds. It seemed as though nothing could stop the invaders. Within 3 days, they had captured 7 million humans. They took their prisoners to their largest ship, which hung in orbit like a moon of death. And then they began their broadcast. Every screen on Earth lit up with the same image. Every television, computer, and phone showed the interior of the ship. The 7 million captured humans were held in massive cages that stretched for miles inside the vessel. The aliens had gathered them like animals for a show. The commander appeared on the broadcast. He was larger than the others, with golden markings on his gray skin and a crown of metal spikes on his head. He spoke in a language that was automatically translated for the humans watching below. "Primitive creatures of Earth," he said, his voice filled with contempt. "You have been chosen for a great honor. Your species will serve as entertainment for the Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, and on each world we have taken the weak and shown them the truth of the universe. The truth is simple. The strong survive. The weak die. You are weak." The commander raised one of his 4 arms and pointed at the cages behind him. "These 7 million will die now, and you will watch. You will see how powerless you are. And when we are done, we will take more. We will keep taking until your planet is empty and your species is nothing but a memory." The slaughter began. The soldiers entered the cages and began killing the prisoners. They used blades instead of energy weapons because they wanted the deaths to be slow and visible. They wanted Earth to watch every moment of suffering. Parents tried to shield their children. Friends held each other in their final moments. The screams filled the broadcast, and across the world, people fell to their knees in grief and rage. The killing lasted for 6 hours. When it was over, 7 million humans were dead, and the commander laughed into the camera. "This is your future," he said. "Accept it." Then the broadcast ended. For 3 days, Earth was silent. People did not go to work. Schools remained empty. The streets were quiet. It seemed as though humanity had been broken, just as the had intended. The aliens orbited above, waiting for the moment when they would descend again to take more prisoners. But they had made a terrible mistake. They had studied many species across the galaxy. They had conquered races that surrendered after a single battle. They had destroyed civilizations that begged for mercy. They thought humans would be the same. They thought terror would break the human spirit. They were wrong. On the fourth day, something changed. The silence ended, but it was not replaced by cries of surrender. It was replaced by the sound of factories coming to life. Across every continent, humans began to work. Scientists who had spent their careers in competition now shared their knowledge freely. Engineers designed new weapons in hours instead of years. Soldiers from every nation trained together as a single army. Old grudges were forgotten. Old borders meant nothing. The unified government of Earth made a single announcement. We will not surrender. We will not negotiate. We will not forget what was done to our people. They will pay for every life they took. The humans had captured several soldiers during the initial invasion. Scientists studied their technology day and night. They learned how the alien shields worked and how to break them. They discovered that ships used a rare element called for fuel, and they found a way to destabilize it. They reverse-engineered the alien weapons and made them stronger. In just 3 weeks, Earth had built a fleet of warships unlike anything humanity had ever created. They combined human determination with stolen alien technology. The ships were armed with weapons that could punch through shields. They were fast, agile, and built for one purpose: revenge. The commander watched the preparations from orbit with amusement. He had never seen a conquered species fight back after such a devastating loss. He found it entertaining. He ordered his fleet to stay in position, curious to see what the humans would attempt. This was his second mistake. The human fleet launched at midnight. 500 ships rose from the surface of Earth and headed straight for the Armada. The alien commander finally gave the order to fire, but his confidence turned to confusion when his weapons had little effect. The human ships had adapted. Their shields were stronger. Their weapons were deadlier. The battle lasted for 12 hours. Human pilots flew with a fury that they had never encountered. They did not retreat when damaged. They did not surrender when outnumbered. They fought with the memory of 7 million dead pushing them forward. One by one, the ships began to fall. The alien commander tried to escape, but a group of human pilots had anticipated his move. They surrounded his flagship and disabled its engines. Soldiers boarded the vessel and fought their way through corridors filled with warriors. The fighting was brutal and bloody, but the humans refused to stop. When they finally reached the command center, they found the commander waiting for them. He stood tall, still believing that he was superior. "You cannot kill me," he said. "I am the voice of the Empire. If you destroy me, 1,000 ships will come to avenge me." The human general who led the assault stepped forward. Her name was, and she had lost her entire family in the broadcast massacre. Her eyes were cold as she looked at the alien commander. "Good," she said. "Let them come. We will be waiting." She gave the order, and the commander was taken prisoner. But humanity was not finished. Using the information extracted from the captured, Earth learned the location of the alien. It was a planet called Prime, located in a distant star system. They had ruled that world for 10,000 years. They believed it was invincible. Humanity proved them wrong. Earth built a weapon using the unstable they had studied. It was called the Extinction Array, and it was capable of destroying an entire planet. The unified government debated for days about whether to use it. Some argued that genocide was wrong, even against a species that had shown no mercy. Others pointed to the 7 million dead and demanded justice. In the end, the decision was made. A message was sent to Prime. "Evacuate your civilians. You have 1 week. After that, your world will burn." They did not believe the warning. They thought it was a bluff. They gathered their remaining fleet around there and waited for the human attack. The human fleet arrived exactly 1 week later. They did not attack the ships. They simply moved the extinction array into position and activated it. A beam of pure energy, powered by itself, struck Prime. The planet's core destabilized. The surface cracked and broke apart. Within hours, the Empire was nothing but floating debris. The surviving fled in terror. They scattered across the galaxy, leaderless and broken. Their empire collapsed within months. The species that had conquered 1,000 worlds was now homeless, hunted, and dying. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy. Other species who had suffered under rule sent messages of gratitude. Some offered alliances. Others simply expressed amazement. No one had ever defeated them. No one had ever made them pay for their crimes. But humanity did. Earth rebuilt itself in the years that followed. Monuments were erected to honor the 7 million who had died. Their names were carved into walls of black stone that stretched for miles. Every year, on the anniversary of the massacre, people gathered to remember and to promise that such a tragedy would never happen again. Humanity also changed in other ways. They realized that the universe was dangerous, and that peace could only be maintained through strength. They expanded their fleet. They established outposts on distant worlds. They made alliances with other species and created a new order in the galaxy, one based on mutual respect and defense. They became a warning. Their story was told to every species that considered aggression against Earth. The message was clear. Humanity would not be broken by terror. They would not be conquered by cruelty. If attacked, they would fight back with everything they had, and they would not stop until their enemies were destroyed. Decades later, a young historian was studying the records of the war. She found an old transmission from the commander, recorded moments before his capture. In the recording, his voice trembled with something she had never expected to hear from a. It was fear. "We made a mistake," the commander whispered. "We thought they were weak because they value their young and their old. We thought they were soft because they cry for their dead. But their love is not weakness. It is fuel. It makes them burn with a fire we cannot match. We awaken something terrible, something that will not stop until we are gone." The historian closed the file and looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the last remnants of they were still running. They would run forever because they knew the truth now. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the hunter. And they would never forget.